we're seeing some of the biggest companies that exist on the planet.
On our way out to the Google complex, go onto Facebook, and then tonight we've got dinner with Black Box.
Not everybody gets the opportunity to see those places. Learning from them, because one day you might be as big.
Understanding scale is what this is how big can you get.
It's a huge day.
The creme de la creme of startups.
How far do you want to take this, and how far could it take you?
We're at Google. Yeah. The scale of the place is quite overwhelming.
The only other rule I forgot is make sure your name tags.
I mean, I expected it to be like a campus, but it's more that this kind of campus has been built in 20 years. How do you go from being a group of people to something that's essentially the size of a village in just a couple of decades?
Team culture is something that's always been really important to us in the work that we've done, and so I can't get my head around how you would maintain the same sort of values across a team bigger than 25 people.
Yeah.
You know, like how do you do that, especially when there's separate buildings and people are in different cities across the world? It actually makes my stomach hurt.
On any given month, there's about 46,000 visitors. That's business visitors coming on campus. Sydney is over 1,300 full-time staff. A couple of our other alphabet companies have its own space. We have another campus at Sunnyvale. Calico has its own space.
I don't think the founders could have realised the immensity of campus, and also the challenges that we face are exactly the same as what they face.
Probably the most important lesson that I've learned in my time here, and that's just this idea of getting everybody to point north and a very clear user problem. You go to bed thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it. And if that passion is not there, then it's just not going to be the same.
When being in love with the problem is so important, how do we find someone who is as in love with the problem as we are?
Sometimes it's just about you have that conversation and it clicks in their mind. I would have a bunch of conversations, find the person that has the most passion.
Cool.
I think it's about scaling the company to the size it needs to be to deliver on the impact.
And if that means we're just a $4 million company with 4 staff, then that's what we do. If it means we're a $10 billion company with offices all over the world, then that's what we'll do.
San Francisco is really held up as one of these world leaders in urban innovation.
This is the part of the world that people from across America would come to be accepted into our community. And San Francisco of today is so far from that, it breaks my heart. Is the industry itself too busy trying to fix what's happening internally, culturally, and therefore it's too complicated to think about the impact that they're having on the world around them?
You know, it's very obvious here in San Francisco, but it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And that overwhelms me.
Coming here and going to the big towers and the big campuses and seeing the number of desks, that doesn't excite me. Stepping back and seeing that these businesses have huge reach, that's the bit that excites me. That's the bit that I want out of this.
We need to work out how to work with that in a really positive way. A lot of questions that we're asking to people is about, do we need to be here? Is this the place that we need to be?
Are we too small a drop in the bucket to actually fix this problem that other people seem blind to?
Here in the US, everything is driven by cost. Everything is, I can get that cheaper at blah, blah. You're going to have to think about this differently. We need a change in thinking at the top of our organisation. Leaders that are in charge of these organisations are looking down the barrel of the real possibility of failure. And don't think about the Google, Facebook, Microsofts. Think about tech that had its heyday that have to reinvent themselves. Finding people that are passionate and excited about what you're doing and are willing to help you, raise the bar.
60% of urban growth in the next 30 years is going to happen in Asia. So there's a very logical stepping stone for us to move in that direction. But the access to talent and innovation that you have here may also be a driver. Where we can leverage the greatest impact is something that we're working through.
I think we need to go where our market is, where our customers are. And so that question is, who are the most innovative or who are the most ready? And then who has the most need? And let's go to that place. So we've just come from San Francisco out to Sacramento.
Thank you so much for being here.
I'm here to speak at the opening of a hackathon run by Angel Hack. The more I can actually get to speak to people who are the type of people who would be potential recruits for us, the more that helps me understand how we would end up staffing Neighbourlytics. I need to learn how to become the kind of employer that they want to work for. Can I get everyone in this room to stand up? Stay standing if you've visited your local city government's website to look at what's happening in the neighbourhood. Stay standing if you have been along to a meeting at your local government to give them your feedback on something. There we go. Everyone stand back up again. Sit down if you haven't posted or been on your social media platform today. A couple. Okay. People don't turn up to local town hall meetings, but they are online, they are leaving information about themselves, and they are interacting with each other. It's really validating to be able to speak in front of a room of people like that really are absolutely experts in the industry I'm trying to be in and have something about what I'm saying resonate with them. Maybe the problem's not as bad as it feels like it is.
Yeah.
If we can do that and they go, yeah, I get that, and
Yeah.
that really connected with me.
I think the other aspect that we try to champion for with our friends and fellow co-founders, whether they like it or not, is you can actually have an influence in this space. You're a citizen, you live in this neighbourhood. If you don't like something, did you actually know that there's something you can do about it? Letting people know that an awareness of where they are and that they can have a role in shaping that is quite empowering and exciting. I'm really interested to get the insights from San Francisco City Council about how they are moderating this really complex problem of rapid change.
What's happening with the campus design where they're out of the city centre and they've got all these internalised public spaces and internalised businesses. He said the city recognises that that is a problem that they need to address, which was heartening for us to hear that it's not just us and are looking at this and saying this isn't good enough and this isn't helping the city. How can tech work better for the cities?
Biggest challenges that we heard that the city is facing is that they've got no real way of measuring the data about their public spaces, and that's obviously a really important data set because it informs how they spend their public money, user satisfaction, how happy are people in those spaces.
But they don't yet have a way of measuring it. Introducing Neighbourlytics.
We found out that they're developing a global data urban protocol with some really key, well-known international urban partners, and they want to talk to us about being part of that consortium. We're launching it, by the way, in Philadelphia on the 18th of October. Could you come? Probably.
And he cancelled his other meeting partway through because he had somewhere else to be. And he goes, we'll do that later, this is better. And, you know, and then he goes, oh, yeah, we'll just bring you into that, come to the conference in October and we'll launch it. And, okay.
I think we can do that. One of the things that we've heard really strongly is to finding investors that are very aligned with your vision, or hearing stories of founders who've had to compromise or change or pivot in a direction that they didn't intend because of the desires of their investors. And I think while we're very open to investment, of course, we really want to stay true to the long-term vision of what we're trying to achieve and not just pivoting because it will create more profit.
I find that very frustrating to be told, well, you're about impact, so go be the impact things. Because we can see growth. I mean, we just had another customer sign up today. Yeah. You know, and we're not even advertising. Yeah. So.
The impact investing, you know, I'd like to believe that should be no distinction. I think all the investment needs to be, and I'm not a big proponent of something called social entrepreneurship. I don't think it needs to be separated. Most of the rest of the world, everybody's thinking, how are you going to make money? In here is how are you going to create value? How are you going to disrupt and change something?
Whether it's meeting with experts on a certain topic that are leaders in their field, or even thinking about investors, you're the entrepreneur. You know what you're doing, you know what your startup is.
We're very purpose-driven in what we're doing, but so is every other founder in our cohort. Everyone is in it for changing the world in some way. It's a responsibility.
There's no going back now.
Why do you think that something like this hasn't been started already?
You can definitely find investors that care about the bigger mission without jeopardizing the short-term goal.
There's this huge sacrifice between my instant happiness or something that's bigger than me.
How much personally can I give up to make sure that somebody else doesn't have to? We now have an uphill battle with what we're trying to accomplish, but it's the right thing to do.